In order to deal with China, the United States and India have jointly planned to launch an operation called Big Infrastructure in the Middle East. Can this plan effectively curb China's Belt and Road Initiative? Welcome to World Hotspot, where you will be able to learn about projects, cooperation around the world and important information about China. I hope you can subscribe to me. Let us discover more interesting things around the world together. The matter can be traced back to May 7th this year. At that time, Sullivan, the US President's national security advisor, visited the Middle East and met with senior officials from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and India. They discussed a major plan to promote large-scale, multinational infrastructure projects in the Middle East led by the United States. Specifically, the project involves building a railway that would connect India and its ports to Arab countries in the Middle East and then further to Europe, forming a land bridge across Eurasia and the Middle East. On the surface, this infrastructure plan is to promote infrastructure construction, but everyone knows that the real purpose of the United States is to target China. China has undertaken many infrastructure projects in the Middle East, and its influence in Arab countries is increasingly deepening. The United States is uneasy about this as it becomes an oil producer with the shale oil revolution. Its dependence on Middle East oil is gradually decreasing, and the United States is unwilling to invest more resources in maintaining relations with Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries. As US influence declines, Saudi Arabia and China have reached a consensus, which can be said to be China's seizing on the US's negligence. It is therefore clear that relations between Saudi Arabia and China have been strengthening in recent years. Not only have the two countries signed many military weapons purchase agreements, Saudi Arabia has also joined the BRICS, and Middle East countries and China are increasingly connected in oil resources. The local currency swap between the two countries provides the feasibility of realizing the so-called RMB oil. In addition, if the oil settlement in the Middle East can be settled in RMB, it will pose a complete threat to dollar oil and dollar hegemony and touch the fundamental interests of the United States in the world. Therefore, the United States felt uneasy and began to take measures in Saudi Arabia in an attempt to re-establish its absolute leadership and influence in the Middle East. The large-scale infrastructure plan proposed by Sullivan is part of the strategic layout of the United States. According to the US plan, Saudi Arabia, India, the United Arab Emirates and other G20 members will now sign a memorandum of understanding on the project. The Saudi Crown Prince said that the construction of the project will contribute to international energy security, and European and American officials also said that the project will shorten the trade time between the EU and India by about 40%, while reducing costs and fuel consumption. Biden even directly stated that the United States will become an alternative partner and investor for developing countries in the G20. The so-called alternatives here are China and the Belt and Road Initiative. While the project looks great and is highly publicized, can the United States really pull off such an ambitious plan? First of all, this is not the first time that the United States has expressed its intention to implement a big infrastructure plan similar to China's Belt and Road Initiative to counter China. During the war on terrorism, in order to show its presence in Afghanistan, the United States proposed implementing the New Silk Road Plan in the region, but as we all know, the plan was not successfully implemented. In addition, in the past year, there have been many railway accidents and dangerous goods explosions in the United States due to aging infrastructure, which have brought disasters to the natural ecological environment. Considering the management problems of the United States' own infrastructure, how can they afford to build railways in the Middle East? Third, this railway project is part of the United States' $600 billion Global Infrastructure Investment Partnership Plan. However, does the United States really have enough funds to support this huge infrastructure project? It should be noted that the United States is currently facing a serious debt crisis. With a budget deficit of up to $2 trillion in the new year, the US Congress is in budget trouble and may even shut down on October 1st. As the US debt crisis becomes increasingly severe, whether the United States has enough funds to support this huge infrastructure project has become an important issue. In addition, there are serious partisan struggles in the United States. Even if Biden agrees to advance the plan, the next president will be Trump if he returns to power. Then he may adopt a withdrawal policy so that infrastructure plans similar to those of other countries cannot continue to advance. Therefore, in my opinion, even without China's containment, the United States alone in promoting this large-scale infrastructure project is full of difficulties. Considering the foundation China has laid in the Middle East, the success of the project is even more difficult. We know that China's Belt and Road Initiative has been developing in the Middle East for a long time and has established deep roots in the region. China has signed Belt and Road cooperation documents with 21 Arab countries and has successfully completed more than 200 major cooperation projects, and the quality has been highly praised. For example, the venue for last year's World Cup in Qatar was built by China. More importantly, the annual trade volume between China and Middle Eastern countries reaches $500 billion, and China-Saudi Arabia relations are becoming increasingly close. Under such circumstances, it is unlikely that Middle Eastern countries will stand with the United States again. In addition, in recent years, the United States has openly interfered in the internal affairs of Saudi Arabia, Israel, and other countries, and has been imposing sanctions on Iran, which has not won the hearts of the people of Middle Eastern countries. On the contrary, China has chosen not to seek to expand the scope of its power, or interfere in the internal affairs of other countries. Therefore, any normal country knows that choosing to cooperate with China is the best choice. In this case, Middle Eastern countries can cooperate with the United States when it is profitable, but can the United States continue to promote mutually beneficial cooperation like China, instead of just considering political influence and ignoring economic interests? As long as cooperation is not mutually beneficial, the United States may try to undermine China by borrowing a project and discredit China's large-scale infrastructure capabilities, but this is undoubtedly an attempt to kill an enemy with an egg. In general, under China's mediation, the relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia is getting better and better, the cohesion of Middle Eastern countries continues to increase, and they increasingly hope to become a peaceful region. However, the United States continues to make small moves, which are actually not welcomed by Middle Eastern countries. While China and Middle Eastern countries have already cooperated well and made significant progress, the United States' attempt to build an Eurasian continental bridge similar to China's One Belt, One Road is very difficult to implement due to lack of financial support. Even if it succeeds, it will be difficult to implement. It is difficult to sustain, let alone replace, China's One Belt, One Road initiative. Therefore, China's goal is to achieve mutual benefit and thereby expand international influence, rather than trying to establish regional hegemony. This is completely different from what Zheng He did during his voyages to the West in ancient China. China focused on actual mutual benefit and foreign trade business. The current infrastructure project of the United States is actually to expand its influence and is intended to cooperate with its military garrison to enhance its control. However, China views Middle Eastern countries as friends, and through mutual benefit and reciprocity, China can gain their respect. And if the United States tries to regard the Middle East as its backyard, then the only thing waiting for the United States will be resistance and failure. Dear friends, this video ends here. What do you think of the US approach? Do you think the US plan can be implemented successfully? Welcome to leave a message in the comment area to share your thoughts and feelings. If you like the content of this issue, please recommend it to your friends so that more people can see this video. Thank you everyone for watching and supporting. See you next time.